Hello, Internet, and welcome to episode 887 of Verbal Graffiti with your host, Brian Glass, a.k.a. the B-Man, the People's Degenerate. Hello, my name is Brian Glass, and my hobbies include doom scrolling and eating junk food. How do you live your life? That is exactly what I enjoy doing. I look forward to 11 p.m. each night because I'm a workaholic, the B-Man that is. I work usually until 11 p.m., sometimes midnight, but an hour before I go to bed. Before I go to Twinkle Dreamland, I eat Ruffles potato chips, doom scroll through my phone. Sometimes it's tortillas with guac, but it's not homemade. It's the bad guac. But again, it's junk food. It's what I enjoy. But you ever think about that? Not how you live, but how do others live? Because I was doom scrolling through my phone, and I found this on X. There was this long thread, which I despise, but it was a babe complaining about her marriage. And she prefaced it by saying, hey, I've been married for 30 years. I've known this guy since my mid-20s. He's my best friend. He leaves me love notes each morning. He's a little over lovey-dovey. But when we make love, or when he wants to make love, he says, oh, tonight is mommy daddy time, which is a bit of a dries up my vaginal lips. And then he has another, he's not good with hygiene. And then as soon as that, like, okay, I continued reading the thread because I love a good hygiene conversation. And it turns out her husband stopped brushing his teeth. He brushes his teeth once a day. And then there are other things with the hygiene, the showering, how he misses days, and the greasy hair. But the brushing of the teeth. Now, I know my teeth are faded. Right? They're a little brown, yellowish. I despise them. But I brush my teeth 2-3 times a day. I floss. I use a Listerine. My mouth is clean. If there's one thing about the B-Man, I have a clean mouth. And I love junk food and doom scrolling. But when I read that you stayed with a man, matrimony, 30 plus years, even though he brushes his teeth once a day, if that, you're out of my life. Once you admit to the B-Man, or once I pick up on the fact that you only brush your teeth once a day, if that, goodbye. You're out of my life forever. I don't care if under the Lord's name, I say till death do us part. I'm finding a new God because I'm leaving your ass. I'm leaving your stinky mouth. I can't have that. And she was talking about, and I don't know, this lady's just a stranger on X with a thread. And she's talking about, I cringe every time he tries to kiss me. Because he's got bad breath. Whoa. Well, right there. If I ever have bad breath, tell me. And this is me talking to you. Like, you ever come in contact with the B-Man, and sometimes my breath does get a little stinky because I drink coffee, black, like a real man. But tell me. Any other flaws I have, don't tell me. Talk shit behind my back because I'm a sensitive person. But bad breath, I want to know. I'm going to go get some mints. I'm going to go brush my teeth. I'm gonna go leave work early. There is a problem, and I'm going to find a solution. I will find a way to have a smelly, minty, fresh breath within the hour if you let me know. But I'm diligent about not having bad breath. I brush my teeth. I brush my tongue. I get the very back corner. I floss, Listerine. I swish it all around. I count at least 2 minutes with the toothbrush, and I'm a manual guy, manual toothbrush, because, I'm a man of the people. I'm blue collar. I use a manual toothbrush. I think that's what blue collar means. But knowing that there are, especially women, babes out there that will stay with a guy who doesn't brush his teeth twice a day. Clearly the West is in decline. If there are women out there that are willing to put up with that from a man. That little antidote right there should let all of us know that the empire is trembling. The foundation is not as firm as it once was. And we're probably going to collapse very, very soon because of it. Because that is, how do you not just walk away? Honestly, I'd rather you draw a dick on my forehead or with a magic marker every night. I'd rather go out in public and have to. I'd rather you try to make a fool of me every day. I'd rather you cheat with the neighbor. I'd rather you tell everybody about the debt I have. I'd rather you do anything. Fresh. If you have a stinky mouth, I ain't even putting Mr. Perfect inside that mouth. All right. Mr. Perfect only goes inside the mouth of babes who brush at a minimum twice per day and use floss. You gotta brush your teeth twice a day. And the fact that there are people out there who will sleep next to a person, a disgusting, almost a subhuman being with hot, stinky breath for years, decades even, it doesn't bode well for humanity. It does not bode well for humanity. But even that, how do others live? The last couple of weeks, I find myself asking fellow comics who I enjoy their company, like, do you work? Do you work? One said no, he doesn't work. He was clearly drunk. I think his parents died, so he has some money and he's living off of that. Good for him. But I could tell, like, all right, but that's how he's getting by. Doesn't work, but both his parents died, so I think he's got some money through that. And then I asked a guy last night, fellow comedian, good guy, funny, tall, not handsome, but tall, good hair. I asked him, I go, do you work? And then there was a pause. That's the best. That's when you know you're in for a stimulating conversation. When you ask somebody, do you work? And there's a pause before the answer. That's okay. Okay, get out your notebook because focus. As soon as he paused, this comedian friend of mine, I said, all right, well, you don't work. I was like, well, I do, but hit me. How do you make money? How do you make money? And he said, well, who was it? His father, or he had a relative, somebody who was in bad health, so he was taking care of her at her house, living there. That's how he was getting by. I've done a little bit of that myself, so I understand that. I was like, I used to do something like that as well. But then his aunt, or whoever he was taking care of, like, she got really, really sick and had to go to like a nursing home or somewhere like that. So he lost that gig. So I'm like, okay, so what are you doing now for money? He goes, well, I DJ like once a week at the Elbow Room. That's $150. And then my mom, like, we're living together at this other house. And, like, somehow we're getting money for living at the house. But that's going to be done soon. So then I don't know what I'm going to do for money. And like, I wasn't judging him at all. It wasn't amazement. It was just, it's almost like I was conducting a study with this gentleman, this comedian friend of mine. It's not that there's so many people in this predicament, myself included. The only reason why I'm able to afford a camera and the lighting and clothing and sports cards and gas and able to eat out every once in a while is because I live with my mom. So I don't have a whole lot of overhead bills. Right, and the money I do make extra, I just try to put into the S&P 500 and pray 10% each year, compound interest, and hopefully that's enough. So when my mom dies, I have enough money to survive. Because I know the job I have is like that's gonna be donezo within 2 to 3, hopefully 5 years. I last that long before AI takes it over. But there are so many people. Like, that's how I survive. Like, I'm living with my mom, basically rent free. But there's I look and I see people in my neighborhood. They have SUVs, 2 nice cars. They live in a house, 2, 3 kids. They're sending their kids to daycare. I'm like, how do you? Like, I know what you do, kind of. I know you're not making enough money to afford all this, the cars and the house and the mortgage and the education and the vacations to Disney. And how are people living? Because with inflation and everything, like I'm not going to talk economy with you. It's just the amazement of how do people, Americans, live? How do you survive? There must be so many people, myself included, who are just. It's just like you're hoping you're just kind of living off of other people, family members, roommates, credit card debt. Clearly, credit card debt's a big one. You know, with student debt and everything, like you have a $500 payment for that. Like, how do you afford $1,500 for rent, electricity? Like, how do you afford all this? Like I stress about money, and I don't really have to worry about money, but I stress about other people who have to stress about money. Like my sister she just built a house, 40 acres of land. She's a nurse. Great job, good paying job. But is that enough money to pay for 40 acres of land with having to pay for food and heat and all that? And then my other sister, like her family goes to Australia. And they have all these cars. It's like, you're a teacher. How are you living? How is not every day just you're on your knees just how do I afford all this? I don't get it. Weddings. Who the fuck can afford a $30,000-$50,000 wedding today? I just it doesn't make sense. It does. I gotta walk around my block. I drive around my neighborhood, which is a suburban neighborhood. A mix between blue collar, white collar, and bums like myself. And it's almost like I know there are people probably judging me like, how you're living with your mom? Like, who are you? But then I'm looking at you going, dude, you have a house and 2 cars, and you're putting your kids through college. Like, how are you doing that without credit card debt? Like, where is this money coming from? And I really do believe the powers that be are eradicating the middle. Okay, we're getting conspiratorial here, but clearly you keep raising the price of college, food, housing, the inheritance that previous generations could rely on. If you're fortunate enough to be one of those people, there are going to be fewer boomers that are going to be able to give the millennials or Gen X, Gen Z, whatever generation, the inheritance isn't going to be as much, if at all. So once the boomers are gone, like all the money's gone. There's no inheritance. People my generation, in your 40s, you have kids, chances are, which I do not, but if you have kids who are young, by the time you're about ready to retire, you're probably not going to have as much money as your parents did to help you out. So you're not going to have enough money to help your kids out. Or as much money, so like they're going to be squeezed even more than you are, and I am. So the middle class is just going to it's just going to get more compact, fewer of them, and then like I said, that's how you end up married to a guy who doesn't brush his teeth twice a day. Like that to bring it full circle, like that's how you end up in that type of predicament. I'm worried for everybody. Like sometimes I go for long jogs and running, road running, and I look at houses, I look at couples, I look at families, I look at lots. Hey, I run by schools. I'm like, how is this all not crumbling? How is this economy staying somewhat afloat? Credit card debt. It's got to be credit card debt. It's a frightening world out there. I have no idea how anybody's able to live. All right, moving forward. Try to be a bit more uplifting with this one. Ooh, maybe not. All right, I'll post this photo. Here is a photo of a toilet bowl. Why am I pissing SpongeBob yellow? My mic is on. Okay, it is the color of a fucking highlighter. I am so scared. I'm 19 male. Well, you should be. You should be scared of your piss and that yellow toilet bowl. Because to be man, I have secondhand I have fear on your behalf. I'm giving you secondhand fear, similar to everybody in the country. How are we living? How are we surviving? I'm scared for your well-being. Now, I cannot tell you how to live your life. All I know is quite possibly I might be the most frightened of my own urine out of anybody else in the world. Like, I concern myself with the color or the discoloration of my urine more. Like, I'm in the top 5%. Easily. I dictate my day and my well-being based on how yellow or not yellow my urine is at any point throughout the day. And you bet your ass, right? You bet your toilet bowl I'm examining my toilet bowl after I pee in it. Because if I was you, I'd call out of work immediately. I'd go to urgent care. I'd get an IV. I'd hydrate myself. And I'd drink 2 gallons of purified water in the next 24 hours. That's what I would do if I were you. And I don't think that's an extreme measure. And I'm telling you, I don't know how you're living your life, but I look at your pee and I do know how you're living your life. You need to stop with the sugary drinks. Because I'm concerned about your health, as you are as well. It's putting this photo on Reddit. As you quit the sugary drinks, whether it's soda, juice, the Gatorade, Powerade, sports drinks, whatever it is you're drinking. You got to quit with the sugar. I look at your piss, and it's not alcohol. Because alcohol urine almost has an orange tint to it. It's orange and it's more bubbly and frothy. There's a thickness to alcohol piss, and that's not that. That's just pure sugary, dehydrated urine, which is better than alcohol urine. So a tip of my penis to you for not being an alcoholic, but that urine's not much better, right? On the warning scale, I look at that pee right there, and like, if you told me, you're a 19-year-old guy, but if you told me you were a 50-year-old diabetic, 300 pounds, at risk of losing your right foot, I'd believe you. Because that's kind of, that pee is telling me that that's the lifestyle you're living, is that of a 300-pound, 50-year-old diabetic. And you gotta shape up. Hydrate. That's what you gotta do. Every day you wake up, hydrate. First thing you drink, glass of purified water. Get yourself a purifier. Don't drink bottled water because that makes your taint a little smaller. All those microplastics. So get I don't know, it's called the purifiers. The tap water purifies it. Drink that, and drink 2 gallons of that every day, because you can't be walking around with yellow pee like that. I get yellow pee like that, which occasionally I do. Immediately, I go to a refrigerator. I have a purifier. I'm chugging a glass of water before I do any other task. And I'm not joking with you like that. I'm serious about my pee. If there's anything you should know about the B-Man, I brush my teeth twice a day, and I'm serious about the color of my pee. I'll put that. Know that about the B-Man. This does kind of fuck with your common sense. At least it does with me. Because whenever I use a public restroom, which I try not to. I always try to pee before I leave the house. I judge how long am I not going to be home for. So I do try to, if I'm not going to be home for more than a few hours, I do try to curtail how much water I drink beforehand, because I don't want to have to use a public restroom. But sometimes you got to go. You got to tinkle. So I'll go into a public restroom, and like yourself, I'm guessing, you'll see a toilet bowl that's not flushed, or a urinal is not flushed. And more often than not, when you see a urinal that's not, or a toilet that's not flushed, the urine that's in the bowl and on the ball, right? Because guys have terrible aim, is yellow. Is like glowing in the dark yellow, which makes me believe that the unflushers in public restrooms among us are dehydrated, which fucks with my common sense, because you would think, or at least the B-Man thinks, that the unflushers would be dehydrated. That you pee, it's mostly clear as a purified water. And then if it's clear, like, well, I don't need a flush because it's clear. You can't even tell there's pee in there. So you don't flush. But that's not the case. It's always when the toilet is unflushed and it's just filthy, that it's full of pee in and on and around the bowl. It is is SpongeBob yellow. Which is odd, because you think if your pee was that yellow, you'd want to dispose of the evidence. At least I would. But maybe I care about my pee more than my common man and or lady. But I don't use female public restrooms very often. So, but again, with genderless bathrooms now, we're dancing together in there. But isn't that odd? Isn't that odd? Oh, and by the way, my aim is terrible. So within the last 2 years, I've transitioned to sitting down when I pee, because it's easier for my aim. It's easier. It's just easier for cleanup. Less cleanup when you sit down to pee. You don't have to clean your toilet as much. Actually, that brings up another point too. If our gentleman here, if you're listening, you're probably not, but if your pee is that yellow and you share a bathroom with somebody, whether it's, I don't know, you have roommates, siblings, whoever, if you have roommates and you share a bathroom and you're peeing that much yellow, give your roommate a gift certificate to Chili's. Because sometimes they're going to have to clean your pee up, and that ain't right. Even if you're splitting the rent 50-50. Like a $50 gift card to Chili's for the dehydrated pee that you're making your roommate clean up, like the week that it's their turn to clean the bathroom. But I'm frightened of yellow pee. The year 2025, with the medical advances we've made, nobody should have SpongeBob yellow piss. That should be extinct. Let's go look at some photos. I do my laundry every week because I care about my hygiene and I have a fear of bed bugs. Actually, sometimes my mom does my laundry still, but I do my laundry. When I lived in New York City, Queens, to be more specific, Long Island City and Woodside, I kept getting pushed further back, but I would go to laundromats to do my laundry because I was a bum. I could not afford an apartment with an in-unit washer and dryer. So I would go to laundromats. And I have a fondness of laundromats. I bring this all up because a few nights ago, I was doing stand-up. I was walking down the street downtown. There was a sign for coffee. A coffee sign. I was like, let's go get some coffee. I knew it probably wouldn't be open. But again, I'm a dreamer. I'm positive-minded. I walked. It wasn't open. It was not open. It was 8:30 at night. It closed at 5. I missed the opening by 3.5 hours. But that's on me. Trying to get coffee, 8:30 p.m. Who the fuck is the B-man? But as I was walking to the coffee shop, I walked past a laundromat. Not many people in there. I was a little chilly, so the door was closed. But the beautiful part about a laundromat is when it's cold outside, sometimes the windows get a little foggy. Yeah, because of the warmness of the inside with the mixing, you know how weather works. You know how temperatures work. I don't need to go into that. But as I walked by that laundromat, it gave me a warm feeling, a sense of warmness. Because I've always had a fondness of laundromats and doing my laundry there. Because every time, not every time, but most times I did my laundry at a laundromat in New York City, I wouldn't, I dread it. Like, I dread having to waste an afternoon having to go to the laundromat and spending nearly 2 hours there to do my laundry. But once I got inside the laundromat and sat down and put the wash in and pressed the buttons and swiped the card, sat down, the laundromat more often than not provided serenity to the B-man. And that's why I got the warmness walking past this laundromat so recently. I do love the laundromat and being there because I would sit down. The machines going would provide white noise as I would have a little notebook, moleskin notebook, and I would just write my notes, jokes, bits, punchlines, arrows. It's very arty. It's very hipstery. I wasn't trying to be a hipster or an artist, but I was there doing my laundry, writing jokes, using that time usefully, and I would observe other people. A lot of time there'd be a lot of Hispanic families because not a lot of white people go to laundromats in New York City. Make of that what you will. But I'd see little kids running around with their scooters and the parents trying to corral the kids. And, you'd see the moms or the single babes or whatever babes folding their laundry. And yes, the B-man, I was taking a peek to see what their undies looked like. And if it was a thong, I got a little bit chubby because I enjoy thongs. But it's everything you like about white noise. Life slows down. You could use that slowness and time to write some notes, figure out some punchlines, work on a script, work on whatever projects you're working on. You observe the people that live in your community and what their family situations are like and what kind of laundry they have. And it's eavesdropping on their clothing. When you see someone's laundry, you do kind of get a sense of who they are and how they live. And I enjoy that. I enjoy getting a peek into strangers' lives and how they live. And it was just, it's very peaceful, serenity. But when I walked by this laundromat, infamous laundromat, a couple of nights ago, it kind of hit me. Like, why don't they sell alcohol? Or at least have a beer vending machine at laundromats. They should. I mean, you're there for almost 2 hours, sometimes longer. Sell some beer. Sell some cocktails. I'm not saying you have to have a bartender, but have a vending machine with some IPAs or some White Claws or whatever. Just have a little stand with alcohol. Have a few arcade games. Really. Every laundromat should be an arcade. There's kids there with their parents. All right, there's young families. There's people. If you're not an artist or you're not a writer or anything, you're just diddling your thumbs there or scrolling through your phone. So put some arcade games. You did a little claw where you go down and grab stuff up. Maybe some skee ball machines. Maybe a Keno machine. Like just things where you can extract more money from your patrons. And what's the best way to waste 2 hours and get yourself a little bit of a buzz? So they should sell alcohol or wine and spirits at the laundromat. That seems like, I don't have a business mind, but sometimes I come up with ideas. That's a pretty good business idea. Laundromat that sells wine and spirits and beer. Damn. That's the problem with me. Like, I come up with the idea, but I do not know how to implement the idea to turn it into a business, to turn it into a profit. I don't know how to do that. Like, people who come up with, I'm just thinking about one of my favorite shows of all time, How to Make It in America. They did a denim brand with jeans. If I came up with an idea for some type of clothing, like jean jackets, where do you get the denim? How do you make the jeans? How do you mass manufacture them? How do you send them out? How do you How do you market? How do you make your first sale? I don't know any of that. I just come up with the idea. But the implementation of the idea, the fuck I know how to do that. Clearly I don't. That's why I do whatever the fuck this is. But yeah, the laundromat. Don't look down on the laundromat. Even if you have an in unit on a rainy day, you're annoyed with whoever your living arrangement is, go to the laundromat, do your laundry, and just people watch. And I love the smell too, the cleanness of the chemicals. I love chemicals. Love the smell of chemicals. All right. This next one comes from a transplant. I don't know if it was the call today, but I got a call. My transplant center called my this AM and asked me to put a soft hold on 9:30. That they had a kidney that might be a great fit for me. I'll know late next week if we'll move forward with further testing and evaluation. So, any prayers or good thoughts out there that you can spare, I sure appreciate it. And please pray for some nice lady out there. She's 58. It might not be a great fit for me, but it's going to be a great fit for someone. She'll be giving up a kidney at the end of the month. What an angel. Well, 9:30 has passed, but that won't stop me. I was going to pray tonight for my family and my friends and their well-being. I am going to not pray for my family and friends and reserve those prayers for you. I am praying for you that you get this kidney from this 58-year-old. And if you do, I just want you to know that I should get as much credit as the 58-year-old donating her kidney. Like 50-50. The kidney and my prayers give you life. So you're welcome if you did get the kidney. And I hope you do. And this is great. This is great. This is the human spirit. This is being a real angel. I got nothing but love for you. And especially the 58-year-old who's giving up her kidney to somebody. If it's not you, it's somebody who's going to get it. I'm not ashamed to say this, but I ain't no angel. I ain't no angel. I'm not a donator of organs. Now, I'm not sure if this is a myth or not, but we've all heard that story. You don't say that you're a donor on your driver's license because the cops or the EMT paramedics, if they see that, they'll let you die so that they could get your organs for a guy like this guy who's in dire need of a kidney. So this was pre-internet, like similar to Marilyn Manson, how he pulled out his own rib so he could suck his own dick. Like these rumors spread pre-internet, so there's got to be some validity to them. That's why on my driver's license, I am not a donor. With that said, though, with that preamble out of the way, I'd be willing to donate my organs if I die. I'm making that proclamation now. If I die, feel free to give my organs to anybody and everybody. If they're functioning and it could be put in another body, go ahead. Take my organ. Take my organs to save somebody else's life. That'd be a great final act for the B-Man. I'd love to do it. But right now I am alive. And I gotta admit, I read this post. I've reflected on it. And like I always do, I take your post and I pin it on me and make it all about the B-Man. I come from a big family. I'm the youngest of 5. If somebody in my family was in need of an organ to survive, to live on, I'd give my sibling or my mom or my aunt or uncle or whomever, I'd give them my organ, but I'd do so begrudgingly. That's like, I gotta admit, like I'd have to be pressured for my other family members to give up my kidney or my lung or whatever. Like I'm not going to be the first. Like if my brother comes to the table Thanksgiving and says, hey, I'm in need of a kidney or I'm going to die before Christmas, I'm not going to be the first one to raise my hand and go, hey, I'll go to the hospital and get tested to see if we're a match. I'm going to be very quiet. I'm going to be very quiet and hope that somebody else is a match for my brother's kidney or whomever in my family's kidney before me. It's like, yeah, I want you to get a kidney, but I'm hoping it's not me that has to give up the kidney to you. And that's for anybody in my family. And that's just me, keeping it a buck. Does that make me a bad person? It probably does. My sister Carrie, I probably shouldn't say her name, but I have two sisters, one of whom could not get pregnant. And so my other sister tried being a surrogate for her, which is lovely. That's angel-esque. That's not me. That's not, you have a sister who's like willing to do the whole 9 month of pregnancy. And I'm in the corner waiting for somebody else in class to raise their hand to give up another organ. Like, that's nothing compared to surrogacy. But that's who I am. Am I greedy? Am I selfish? Narcissist? Non-angel? Yes, and yes. But, I consider getting a cavity filled surgery. So taking out an organ, that's life-altering in my mind. So that's who I am. Pointing it out there. I would give the organ to my brother or sister or mother or aunt or uncle, cousin. I don't know about the cousin. But I give up the kidney begrudgingly. But again, I'm also making this proclamation. If I am the one who gives up my kidney to whomever, a family member, I'm holding that fact over my sister, my brother, mother, whomever. Whoever's getting my kidney, I'm holding that fact over you till your last day. Because you're alive because of the B-Man. And I'm going to make sure you know about it, and I want something back. Yes, I'm giving you my kidney because I love you, but I'm also expecting an expensive Christmas present every year, an annual dinner at a high-end restaurant. Yeah, I don't have kids, but if I did, you're paying for their college education, right? Every time we go to an event, an engagement, whether it's a wedding, a birthday party, a graduation, anniversary, whatever the event is, I expect you, the person with my kidney, to give a toast in my honor because I deserve it. I gave you my kidney. And I deserve one more proclamation and we'll wrap it up. If I'm giving my kidney or whatever, if I'm giving an organ to a stranger, let's say I become an organ donor on my driver's license, which I've thought about. Because if I do die, I do want the hospital to take my organs and put it in someone else's body. But if I'm an organ donor while I'm alive, I believe and I want say over who gets my organ. Let's say it's my kidney. I don't think the hospital should have the final say on who gets my kidney if I'm the donor of that kidney. My body, my choice. I get to decide whether the person in need gets my kidney or not. You want my kidney? Okay. I want to be able to do an extensive background check on you to determine whether you deserve to live and more so whether you deserve my kidney. Right? If I find out that you collect Funko Pops, you ain't getting my kidney. If I find out you have a micro penis, your life is the shits anyway. My kidney, I'm not wasting it on your life. If you listen to NPR every day, you're boring as fuck. You're not getting my kidney. But if you own a business and you could hire me at a very high wage, yeah, go ahead, have my kidney. You have some attractive siblings? You know a busty 25-year-old Latina in need of a man? All right. Now we're talking. Let's negotiate. All right. I got a kidney. What do you have that you can give me? I'm not giving away my kidney out of the goodness of my heart. Like I said in the beginning, I ain't no angel. And I believe that's fair. I am willing to be, now the more I talk this out, I'm willing to be a donor of my organs as long as I have say over who gets it or who does not get it. I think that's fair. What say you? Go suck a fat one.